the DA must blame itself for showing the ANC the backdoor. The problem with this backdoor is this: the ANC is not going to use it once. The ANC is in it not because it loves South Africa. The ANC hates South Africa, by the way. Just go anywhere where the ANC governed, whether it's a municipality, whether it's a province, you will realize that the ANC has ravaged that space. Yeah. The party that messed up that budget fiasco is the DA. The ANC figured out that it was in a corner, and it was placed in that corner by the DA. They wanted to get out of that corner. So what did they do? The ANC was forced to look around for a back door. So the DA showed the ANC a back door, and that back door was...
Guys, so Prince Mashele is back again, and he's been really busy this time, really almost it's kind of like an evangelist, really going around speaking about the ANC, the GNU, how long the ANC would last, how long the GNU would last, how long President Ramaphosa would last. There's some really shocking propositions he actually makes. Some of them he actually argues that President Ramaphosa might not or will not finish his term. He speaks about how the ANC hates South Africa. For me, that one is really shocking, but I see a lot of your comments actually which might corroborate that argument, that the ANC, he says it categorically, that the ANC hates South Africa, by the way. And you listen to his arguments and why he thinks the ANC hates South Africa. He actually argues that the ANC ravaged South Africa, has ravaged the country. He actually argues that, one of the problems he saw now with this debate and debacle around the GNU VAT increase was the fact that the DA actually showed the ANC a particular and a useful backdoor that it can actually use to continuously pass some of its campaigns. And that was in the person of Herman Mashaba, or the Action SA. Really interesting analysis around how the Action SA was almost brought in a way of a deception. If I listen to the arguments of the EFF lawyer who defended the EFF in the court, his name was Nkayeni, or I think he actually... Ngukai Toby, yes, he actually defended South Africa. It was actually part of the lawyers which actually, on the whole case with the Israel and ICJ, he was actually one of those lawyers, really hot head, I would argue. But he actually argues that the passage of the VAT increase actually had trappings of deception. And now we see that Prince Mashele here is actually arguing that, Action SA represented a backdoor for the ANC, so to speak. And he has a really interesting analysis, which I want you guys to listen clearly. So that, in other words, he says that Action SA has become the backdoor for the ANC. What this really means is not clear to me. But let's watch this quickly and share your thoughts in the comments.
You won't understand the chaos that is happening within the GNU, the so-called GNU, or call it a coalition government or whatever you want. Yeah. If you don't place it in a proper political context, and here is the context. South Africa is going through what I would call a second transition. Yeah. Or call it, political scientists technically would call it a realignment moment. The first transition was in 1994, if you don't go back too far in history. When the National Party died and the ANC took over, that period of the first transition, which was a realignment moment, was characterized by a few things. One, it was characterized by anxiety and confusion. Yes. And fear. That's what happens when a force that held society together exits the political stage. People are scared because they cannot imagine the future. So fast forward to where we are now. We are going through a transition where the ANC is being processed out of government. Now, necessarily when you go through a moment like that, there will be confusion, there will be fear, and there will be anxiety in society. Even the political mechanisms that are at work will necessarily be unstable. So that is what is happening. Now, let's get deeper into the details of the GNU. Yes. The GNU is unstable and will be unstable for as long as it exists, because it is a mechanism that is processing out a force that held society together for 30 years. It's not going to be stable, number one. Number two, it has to be a game of tactics between the forces inside. So, what is the overriding strategic goal of all the parties that are in the GNU? It's one, is to weaken the other party. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
The ANC is in it, not because it loves South Africa. The ANC hates South Africa, by the way. How do you judge that the ANC hates South Africa? Look at what the party has done to South Africa. It has collapsed South Africa. Just go anywhere where the ANC governed, whether it's a municipality, whether it's a province, you will realize that the ANC has ravaged that space.
Yes.
So the ANC wants to weaken the DA in the GNU. It's the same goal that the DA is pursuing. It wants to weaken the ANC. Even the smaller parties, by the way, don't want the ANC to grow. Don't want the DA to grow. They hope that these two bigger parties will weaken so that they can grow and eventually become the government of South Africa. So that's what is happening. You can get into the budget, into the budget stuff. And let me say something about it. The party that messed up that budget fiasco is the DA. How? The DA played good chess in the beginning. What was the first move of the DA? Was to get the ANC to postpone the presentation of the budget for the first time in 30 years. Yes. We had never seen that.
Yes.
That was a massive, smart chess move. Win number one. Then the ANC had to make a move after that. The ANC figured out that it was in a corner. And it was placed in that corner by the DA. They wanted to get out of that corner. So what did they do? They made a move. They said, fine, we wanted 2% of VAT increase. We will now cut that in half. And we will now give you 1% of VAT increase and we'll spread it across 2 years. If I were the DA, by the way, if I were strategist of the DA, I would have said, take it. The DA, that's where they made a tactical move, a tactical mistake. They did not take it. You know, when they did not take it, the ANC is still in a corner. Then the ANC was forced to look around for a back door. So the DA showed the ANC a back door, and that back door was Action SA. And they realized, can we get out of this corner? There is Action SA. If we want to talk to Action SA and they support us, we can get out of this corner. And that's how they got out of the corner. So the DA must blame itself for showing the ANC the back door. The problem with this back door is this. The ANC is not going to use it once. The ANC now knows that there's a back door. There is no point anymore in the GNU to negotiate seriously with the DA. And the DA is the weaker partner now going forward.
And then obviously out of that, the bigger talk that flowed out of that was whether the DA continues in the GNU or they leave. Do you think they will ever leave? I don't think so, personally.
No, at some point they will leave, not because they will take a decision to leave.
Yeah.
They wanted to leave. Helen wanted the GNU, the DA out of. I mean, the statements that she made after what the ANC did with Action SA, those statements were clear that she wanted out.
Yeah.
And they have been on public record, by the way, the DA and the ANC, that they were pressurized by business to say, you are not getting out of this marriage of convenience. So, yes, they want to leave, but they won't leave because the interest they represent, especially business, will never allow them to leave. Because the GNU, as I said earlier when it was constituted, and I'm going to repeat it and I don't care who says what. It is the best thing for South Africa under the circumstances. Anything else would be worse, in my view. So the DA is aware.